Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special online program, New Horizons, Navigating the Future of US-China Education Exchanges. This program is brought to you jointly by the China Institute in America and US Heartland China Association. My name is Min Fan. I'm the Executive Director of US Heartland China Association. I'll be the moderator today. We have with us an excellent panel of experts who will be bringing together their expertise, experiences to explore the new opportunities and challenges ahead. But before we start, I will also mention we have the leader from China Institute in America, George Ge, who will give the welcome remarks to be followed by our panelists. With us today, we have Minister Counselor Shen Xuesong. She's the Minister Counselor of Education for the Chinese Embassy in DC. We also have with us Peggy Blumenthal, a seasoned professional, very well-known name in the industry. She's currently the Senior Counselor to CEO at Institute of International Education. We also have President James Smith, one of the first few presidents who visited China last spring when China opened up. And we also have Dr. Heather Page she's a principal at, I believe, International Baccalaureate School of Global Learning at New York Public School. And then we have Dr. Eden, Alpha Eden, a professor at University of Tulsa, and she's also the 2023 Heartland Chinese Teacher Award winner. So their bios are extensive. I encourage you to check out the link, which our program officer will drop in the chat to check out their background. And throughout the program, I encourage you to use the Q&A option to submit your questions. We'll dedicate a significant chunk of time at the end of the program to your question and comments. So please drop in there as the questions come to your mind. So without further ado, please join me to welcome George Ge, the CEO of China Institute in America, for his welcome remarks. George?
Thank you, Fanning. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's program. We are honored to partner with the U.S. Heartland China Association to co-host this event. And we are fortunate to have a group of distinguished speakers tonight representing a wide range of organizations, from the Embassy of People's Republic of China in the U.S. to the city government of Rochester, Minnesota, as well as nonprofit organizations, universities, and K-12 schools, to discuss this very important topic, the future of US-China educational exchange. Now, many of you may not be familiar with China Institute in America, which I'm the CEO of. We are an almost 100-year-old nonprofit organization founded by 4 visionary educators, 2 Americans, Dr. John Dewey and Dr. Paul Monroe, and 2 Chinese, Dr. Hu Shi and Dr. Guo Bingwen, in 1926 in New York City. For nearly 100 years, China Institute has been at the forefront of promoting exchanges between American and Chinese people to deepen the understanding between the 2 nations. Our mission is to serve as a bridge between our 2 countries through programs in education, arts and culture, business, and more. For many decades, China Institute organized American student exchange trips to China. Last year, we worked with the New York City Department of Education and China Education Association for International Exchange, organized an educational leadership study tour of a group of K-12 school principals to China, visiting schools, universities in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen for the first time since the pandemic. And I'm glad that one of the participants of that tour, Dr. Heather Page, is on the panel tonight, and we will hear from her insights and experience. Now, as an organization, we are committed to more exchange programs and bringing more teachers and students to China. And my colleague Shen Zhan will talk about that later tonight. Thank you very, very much again for joining the program. I look forward to the highly insightful discussions by our panelists. So let me turn back to Fanming. Thank you.
Thank you, George, for your welcome remarks. I also want to share remarks from our chairman, President of former governor Missouri, Bob Holden. Unfortunately, due to technology challenges, last minute he couldn't be here. But he is so excited for this event because after serving as the governor of Missouri from 2001 to 2005, he joined late Senator Allen Stevenson at the Heartland China Association. Our association is relatively young compared to China Institute in America, but it actually started around 2005. So the silver lining of the pandemic is that many organizations that used to be disconnected, like the China Institute in America and the Heartland China Association, are now all connected because we realized that technology can bring us together. So Governor Holden taught for 10 years after serving as a governor. So deep in the heart, he believed in the future is in the youth. He believed in that gave young people more opportunity, open doors. And he led the Missouri Boy State, Girl State program to send delegation to China and welcome Chinese students to Missouri as well. So we're also very excited to piggyback on the excellent program at China Institute in America to send Heartland students to China, which will happen this summer. So thank you so much for the partnership. With that, I'm going to actually turn to our incredible distinguished panel here. First, I'd like to welcome Minister Counselor Shen Xuesong to share her perspectives. Minister Counselor, the floor is yours. You are muted.
Thank you very much, Madam Fanmin, for introducing me. Good evening, colleagues and friends. First of all, I would like to thank U.S. Heartland China Association and China Institute for organizing such an important discussion on navigating the future of U.S.-China educational exchanges and for inviting me too. 45 years ago, the first batch of 52 students sent by the Chinese government flew across Pacific to the United States. Upon their arrival, they told journalists that we came all the way to the United States, not only to learn advanced science and technology, but also to promote the friendship between the Chinese and American peoples. Over the past 45 years, our educational cooperation has boomed rain or shine, leaving behind many beautiful stories, cultivating world-renowned scholars and leaders, yielding research findings with far-reaching influence, enhance mutual learning and deep understanding, as well as building trust. Millions of students and families in both countries have benefited from it. The successful summit meeting between President Xi Jinping and President Joe Biden in San Francisco in November last year has added stability to the China-US relationship and fostered a future-oriented San Francisco vision. The two heads of state have agreed to continue support people-to-people exchanges. They also reiterated their support and encouraged both sides to take further steps to expand people-to-people exchanges during their phone call on April the 2nd, just 2 days ago. It's such a wonderful news for US-China educational exchanges and cooperation, which is the forerunner of people-to-people exchanges and the driving force behind the development of US-China relations. As President Xi said, the hope of China-US relations lies in the people. The foundation lies in the people. The future lies in the youth, and the vitality lies in the subnational. In San Francisco, November last year, President Xi Jinping announced in his speech at a welcoming banquet of American friendship groups that what he said is, in order to expand exchanges between the people of China and the United States, especially the youth generation, the Chinese side is willing to invite 50,000 American youth to come to China for exchanges and study in the next 5 years. China will set up the Young Envoys Scholarship Program, YES program, which will welcome more American youth to observe China with their own eyes and measure China with their own feet through inter-school exchanges, short-term visits, summer schools, winter camps, and other forms, and to the new generation, and to be the new generation of envoys of US-China friendship. China Education Association for International Exchange, I'm happy to hear that Mr. Gao also mentioned their role. CEAIE will serve as the Chinese lead organization to implement the initiative. So far, more than 500 short and long-term programs have been collected, covering secondary and higher education. The Chinese embassy in the United States, where I work, will provide support and assistance in terms of program matching, partner liaison, air tickets, visas, and other aspects. In addition to YES program, there are many programs to support US students who go to China for exchange, such as Zhixing China. We also call Zhixing China US-China University Student Leaders Academy. This is a yearly program, and this year the program will start in July for 3 weeks. And the American students will be paired with Chinese students all along the way when they do social research subjects. When they travel, they will even stay in the same hotel room. So they will learn from each other and do the social studies together. And finally, at the last stop, they will do report to the whole group and to share what they've learned from each other, what they learned from the trip. And next, I also would like to just give you some examples of what are the opportunities for exchanges. So next program that I would like to share is the American Short-Term Study in China initiative. This program has been run for 2 years, and this is a short-term, as short as 2 weeks, and no longer than 1 academic year. And this is a credit-bearing program and should be co-designed by US and Chinese institutions. And this is a faculty-led program, and the full scholarship will be provided by the universities in China. And it will cover tuition, accommodation, health insurance, and stipend. And this type of partnership is highly encouraged because we were also informed that after the COVID, this is the most popular format for university students to travel and study. And next, I would also introduce, please, yes. In the summer, there are Chinese universities, which are, world famous Chinese universities are offering summer programs. I gave you some examples. This is the programs provided by Southern University of Science and Technology. And they have totally, I think, 11 programs. We just gave you some. And it covers high school study tour and culture tour and even robotic, AI, and also youth forum. So please look at it and also decide whether you want to join or not. And next one is also from a very famous Chinese university, from Wuhan University. It also takes place this summer. It's called the Luojia Global Summer School. It will focus on Asian architectural, cultural, and culture and heritage, which will be very interesting 4 weeks for students to join. And the next one is also a very unique one. This is a program of collaboration from 4 very prestigious Chinese universities: Zhejiang University, Fudan University, Nanjing University, and Chinese University of Science and Technology. They have all famous scientists, professors, and they open their labs to welcome international students to do research with them in the summer. And next, I would like to show the opportunities for collaboration. Is this famous, nickname is 1+2+1 program, which is undergraduate program, which has been implemented for the past 25 years, which means the first year and the last year, the Chinese students will study in Chinese university, and then they will go to the US to study for 2 years in between. And then after they finish, they return to China. After they finish 4 years of study successfully, they will have 2 bachelor's degrees, one from the Chinese university, the other is from the American university. And up to now, more than 7,000 Chinese students have been on this program, which is very successful and will continue and never stopped even during COVID. Next one, please. And these also provide rich information for university who would like to go to China to look for partners. These is also an annual conference and exposition for international education in China, which is the largest of this type in Asia. And this year, the theme is education, embracing, employing, and envisioning. It will start from October 31st to November the 2nd. Yearly, you will meet 4,000 to 5,000 educators during the conference. And the conference also bring hundreds of international universities from more than 30, 40 countries to come to meet their prospective students and parents. So usually during the tour, they're going to have the chances to discuss with 40 to 50,000 visitors, which means prospective students and parents. And they also arrange B2B sessions for you to meet your potential partners in China or in other countries. Next, please. If you go to NAFSA, there's also a Chinese pavilion every year. And this year, there will be 70 respectives from 33 Chinese institutions in New Orleans to look for or expand their collaborations with their counterparts in the States. Next one, please. After saying that, I would like to also to share, because we have, as of 2023, China has 57 World Heritage Sites and more than about 34 World Intangible Cultural Heritage, and other miracles and wonders. The vast land and long history, the industrious people, the emerging economy, all of this is believed to be worth of understanding, exploring, and cooperating with the youth of the United States, the people of the United States, and the people of the world. Of course, during all these years, we see our bilateral relations up and down, and we also have challenges that both sides need to work together to make that out. And I would like to reiterate the principles for good cooperation and the relationship that stated many times by our President Xi, and both sides need to mutual respect. We also need to coexist in peace. We also need to work together and achieve mutual benefit. And back to education, I think China's education has always been committed to a high level of opening up and will continue to do so. We hope that universities, local authorities, educational organizations of China and the United States will strengthen cooperation and give full play to their respective advantages, jointly explore more effective cooperation models, and share better cooperation platforms and make greater contributions to promoting the common development of education between China and the United States and building a more inclusive and harmonious world with mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, cooperation, and mutual benefit. Be the direction both countries follow, and let's work together for a brighter future. So now there will be 2 slides of pictures showing that these young people, which have visited China in the first 3 months of this year, what they did during their trip. So they learn how to draw, Chinese calligraphy. They plant trees together. They learn Chinese kung fu, and they play ping pong. Yes, they climb the Great Wall, and a lot of interesting interactive dialogues and communications. And we would love to see more hugs and smiles and shaking hands. And then we work together to a brighter future for our two countries as well as the world. And I will stop here and thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Councillor Shen. That is wonderful. I see people taking notes. This presentation is recorded. I think there will be a lot of people want to see the slides. Excellent programs. I already see one that I know someone I know would be very interested in participating. So thank you for sharing all that wonderful opportunities.
Yeah, if I can say the last sentence, the topic that I choose is if you want to go fast, you walk alone. If you would like to go further, walk together. That's a very famous African saying, which quoted by the CEO and the president of NAFSA when Fanta All, when she participated in our Spring Festival celebration early this year. And actually in China, we have the same saying, and we all believe in that. So that's why I choose that sentence to be the title of my presentation today. And thank you very much. I will stop here.
Thank you, Ms. Councillor Shen. One thing I have to mention, the students sometimes remind me that Chinese is 1/5 of the world's population, right? And then it's got 2,000 plus years history. So as part of the human collective heritage, something to be treasured. So with that, I'd love to turn to Peggy. Again, China Institute in America is about 100 years old, or I forgot exactly, but I believe IIE is about that much old as well. So Peggy, please share with us your perspective from your long history in the field.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ban. And I want to thank the two sponsoring organizations for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm so honored to speak after Minister Councillor Shen has given us a big, wonderful, broad stroke of how many ways there are for Americans to study in China, which is going to be very important in the year ahead. What I thought I could most usefully do is just present an overview of what the current situation is now in terms of U.S.-China educational and academic exchanges, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think some people in the United States think that the Chinese are no longer present on U.S. campuses or will have trouble coming to U.S. campuses, which is certainly not true, as you'll see in my data. And some people think that China does not really want Americans to come there, which is certainly not true based on Minister Councillor Shen's very good presentation. The Institute of International Education, which I represent and have worked at for 35 years, is basically a large nonprofit organization which works with the State Department to assist in administering the Fulbright program and various other international scholarship programs, and also works with foundations and with corporations to really promote global mobility, and our tagline is opening minds to the world, which is what we believe that happens when people get to meet someone from another country and really understand and experience it. I'm going to use data that comes from our annual survey of U.S. campuses, which is supported by the State Department and published every year in both a book and a website called Open Doors. So maybe the first slide will just give you a quick overview of where we stand now. This shows 2 years worth of data on which are the top 5 countries which send the largest number of students to U.S. higher education, both graduate and undergraduate. And as you can see, China is the #1 country. The Chinese students are the largest cohort and have been for a number of years. And about 300,000 of them, well, 290,000 were here in 2021-22. And then in the last academic year, it was down by barely 500 students. that is down considerably from the peak of Chinese students' presence in the United States, which was almost in 2018, 2019, when there were 370,000 Chinese students here enrolled. But it's still a huge number, and they represent more than a quarter of all international students in the United States. You can see India is number 2, the second largest sending country, and has been for several years. But the interesting thing, if you look at the bar chart on the right, India is surging in terms of the number of its students coming to the United States. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it soon catches up to China. We welcome students from every country in the world, and we have, fortunately, enough capacity with 4,000 accredited universities and colleges to host not just these numbers, but many more. Next slide, please. I'm going to go into a little bit more depth of what kinds of students are coming from China and why the numbers have started to go down in some areas. So the blue bar at the top, the blue line at the top, is for undergraduate students from China in the United States. And you can see that for those of you who have been in this field as long as I have, you'll know that in the first dozen years or so, it was almost entirely Chinese graduate students coming to the United States and Chinese visiting scholars. That one 45 years ago, as Minister Councilor Shun mentioned. But then in the mid 2015, 16, 17, 18, the Chinese parents' incomes rose, and Chinese parents' interest in sending their young students abroad as undergraduates began to surge and peaked actually in 2018-19. But of course, during the pandemic, it stopped almost entirely, and it has continued to go down for various reasons we can talk about in the Q&A if you want. But more optimistically, Chinese graduate students still come in very, in numbers almost equal to the pre-pandemic. That's the yellow line there, or gold, and they have almost rebounded to the previous number before the pandemic. So that's where the numbers have gone down slightly, but the Chinese graduate students still are very interested in coming to the United States in large numbers. The sad, pathetic line at the bottom, that purple line, is the number of American students going to China. And it has always been way smaller than the number of Chinese students here. It's the area in which we really have to put our strong energies. And so that's why I was so pleased to hear of all these different programs that China is offering. At its peak, American students in China at the university level represented about 15,000 who were studying for credit back home. So there's an additional number who come for direct enrollment in Chinese universities, but IIE can't track those as well as the Chinese can. But you see, during the pandemic, it stopped almost entirely, and it really has not rebounded significantly. The last year for which we have data about students who've gone to China and come back and gotten credit would be 2022, and it was a meager 211 students. Next slide, please. So that's the real worry that a lot of American universities have, is how to increase the number of American students. I think the concern on a lot of Chinese students and parents' mind is whether America is still issuing visas for Chinese students to come to the United States. And I think there are some sort of misconception about that this is very hard to get a visa. It's impossible to get a visa. Chinese students aren't getting very many visas. And that's why I put up this slide about the F1 visa issuance. The pie chart on the left shows that out of 307,000 F1 visas that were issued globally last summer, 25% of them went to Chinese students. And looking at just the last summer compared to the summer before, which was really the summer right after COVID kind of ended and people were starting to come again, there were 47,000 visas issued, F1 visas. This past summer, 70,000 visas were issued, which is almost a 50% increase. So I just put this up so that anybody who's worried that Chinese students cannot get visas, the great majority of them are approved. There are some restrictions and some limitations in certain fields and from certain organizations that may be tied to the Chinese military, but that represents a handful compared to this. I think maybe 3,000 visas have been denied to students coming from military-related organizations. And next slide, please. And I wanted to also just say that it's very reassuring that American universities are still quite interested in recruiting in China. And now that China has opened, the COVID is over and Chinese welcome American universities to visit, they are able to come in person and meet with families and with university partners. On the left-hand side, you see the priorities of US universities in terms of recruiting undergraduates. This doesn't come from Open Doors. This comes from a special fall snapshot survey we did last fall. And at the undergraduate level, more universities prioritize India because, as you saw, the numbers are going down in terms of Chinese students who are interested in coming at the undergraduate level. But of course, there's still many, many who are coming. You saw over 100,000. And we still are looking eagerly to welcome those students. On the graduate side, again, India is number one because those numbers are rising, but China is certainly number two in terms of the priority that the universities are putting in terms of being able to visit China and recruit students from China. Next slide, please. And finally, I'll just end with this, that the United States remains by far the largest host country for Chinese students in the United States. Ignore the little colors on the map. They seem to have gotten confused about what country is which, but the bar on the left-hand side shows, as I said, that right now the United States hosts close to 300,000 students from China. The United Kingdom was the second largest host and has about 160,000 students from China. Australia, 140,000, Japan, 85,000, Canada, 80,000. This would be from data again from last year, the 2023 year. And part of the reason for this is because the United States just has a far bigger capacity, a far larger higher education system than any of these countries. As I said, over 4,000 accredited US colleges and universities, and available to students at every price point, at every field, at every academic level. So we have the capacity to host many more Chinese students. And in fact, they represent, all of our international students represent only about 5% of total enrollment, whereas many in the UK, Australia, and Canada, international students represent over 20% of their higher education enrollments. And some of these countries are actually beginning to feel like they should limit the number of international students that they're coming. The United States does not feel that way. We feel the opposite. And I think President Biden expressed this repeatedly, that our academic doors are wide open. And we look forward to having more students from China at both undergraduate and graduate level, and particularly to sending way more American students to China. I'll stop there and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end.
Great. Well, thank you, Peggy. Again, the open door data, the data you share is like the gold standard, right? We all look to. So thank you for the insight. One thing I have to mention as a Chinese student who came in the 90s, each data point is a real person. Each data point, like Dr. Eden nodding her head, is life changed, going this way or that way. So I think the sheer scale of the exchanges, the economic impact is significant. I also appreciate, Peggy, you talk about the price point, the capacity, because as President Smith knows well, education is a field. It's a global marketplace in some way. So next, I'd like to welcome President Smith to share his perspective as the president of Eastern Michigan University. President Smith, please.
Thank you, man, and thanks to all who are joining us. It's either good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. And I do apologize for my voice quality. I'm suffering through with a sinus infection, and I have a really great Chinese tea elixir here that I'm drinking, and I'm sure it's going to go away quickly. I have lots of ginger in my tea, and I'm going to get better quickly. Eastern Michigan University, as Min said, we are a place that has a long and deep history of working with China, with Chinese students, with Chinese institutions. We are celebrating our 175th year. We were established in 1849. There is one older university in our state. They wear a blue and yellow color and play a lot of football and basketball, and they happen to be 6.5 miles from our campus. So we are the two oldest institutions literally within a 7-mile radius of each other. As I said, we've had undergraduate and graduate students for China for decades and decades. As Peggy alluded to in her comments, we have 80 countries represented on our campus. And those who have the misconception that we don't want more have not been to a place like Eastern Michigan. We want to be as diverse and as international as we possibly can, because that's the workplace that our students are going to live in. As Min said, it's a life change for every one of those individuals. And we hold that near and dear to who we are and what we do. I'm going to talk about two unique programs, and I think they're especially unique because most of the time we talk about students traveling. Students come to the United States from China. Students from the United States, again, supporting Peggy's notion, way too few of them go to China. But that's always the common discussion is about travel. We have two programs where we travel faculty to China to do the work that we want to do with these two respective universities. And I'm going to start with Beibu Golf. Beibu Golf University is our newest partner. We're in year 3, and we're very proud of what we've been able to do with our friends in Qinzhou. And most of you know that's in the Guangxi Autonomous Region, far, far south of China. Gulf of Tonkin is, I don't know, you can see it from campus. It's a campus that we entered into an agreement with through the Ministry of Education in China. It is a 4+0 program. So our faculty will travel to China and deliver instruction for 4 years, should the student choose to have all 4 years at Beibu Golf. We built in with the Ministry of Education's agreement a 1-year provision that they could come and do their final year at Eastern Michigan. And right now we have about 30 of the students that are in the program that will be coming to us for that first 4th year, which will begin in our fall semester. We have 800 students this fall. We will have 800 total students in the program, and it is by far the largest international initiative that we've done at Eastern Michigan University, not just in the 8 years that I've been president, in literally the 175 years of our existence. To have 800 students enrolled with us. They're in 5 engineering programs specifically designed around what was the content availability at Beibu Golf, what's the content availability for our faculty, and how do we best deliver. And we have done that by delivering less credit hours in the first couple of years and more credit hours from Eastern Michigan in the latter 2 years. And again, as I said, we travel faculty to Beibu Golf in order to deliver those courses. Now, at the very beginning of the partnership was still the pandemic, and we did that via Zoom. But that was not, excuse me, that was not the design. The design was to always do it with faculty traveling to Beibu Golf and doing the delivery. We had 10, this most recent summer, we had 10 faculty there for the summer. They lived on campus. Beibu Golf provided housing, provided meals for our faculty, and they taught intensively with the goal of the students who finished the program having a Beibu Golf degree and an Eastern Michigan degree. And that was very important to our students. It was important to the Ministry of Education. Frankly, it was important to my Board of Regents that we have 2 degrees issued as part of this relationship. We have 15 faculty that are coming this summer, and then we will have resident faculty in Guangxi for the remainder of the 15 years of the partnership, and let's hope it's 20 or 25 as we extend our time horizons there. So we will have some faculty that will be resident, that will be living there, will be living either on campus or in the surrounding communities and delivering instruction. A little sidebar that I think is interesting is we picked very specifically engineering programs that we thought could be done successfully using this model, and mechanical engineering technology was one of them. It is a small program on our campus. It is very popular with our Beibu Golf students. It has an 800% increase in enrollment from the time that we launched the Beibu Collaborative till now. Obviously, the degree is very desirable. The coursework lines up very, very well. Our retention rate, those who are on the Zoom that have higher education in their portfolio, it's a 96% retention rate. We lose almost no students Obviously, you have to do well on the Gaokao to be admitted. You have to have English language skills. That is one area that we work on very, very hard. Our students read and write extremely well in English. They struggle with the rapid paced conversation of a lecture classroom. We're sending a teaching English as a second language instructor this summer to help with that. And we do all of our coursework in English. Some of the faculty at Beibu Golf choose to teach in Mandarin. It's probably 50-50 for the Beibu Golf classes, but it is 100% English centric in the courses that we teach at Eastern Michigan. It only is fair to talk about, were there any challenges? There's a challenge with every program that you possibly do in higher education. One of the challenges that we have seen is, I mentioned, language acquisition, not the reading and writing, but the general conversation. We are struggling finding faculty who want to live for 1, 2, or 3 years in Qinzhou. It's not Beijing. It's not Shanghai. I did a large program a number of years ago in Jinan. It's not Jinan. It's a different part of China. But our faculty who have gone have been our best ambassadors. So we're hoping to knock down some of those perceptions that it's really far from everything. It's not very far from Nanning, those of you who've traveled in the southern part of China, but still it's a long way from what people know as Shanghai and Beijing. The mindset for our faculty has been a bit of a challenge. Not everything is the same as the classroom is in Eastern Michigan, and we're learning and we're adjusting. To great credit of the Beibu Golf administrative team, every one of our faculty members has a research assistant. So if the technology isn't what the faculty member's most comfortable with, the research assistant knows how to use that technology and can make it as comfortable for the professor as possible. I do agree with Peggy that visas are not impossible, but they're not as fast as they used to be. It's a little slower process than it once was, and we're making sure students understand that. You can't wait until the last 2 months and hope to come to us in August or September. And I see several of the panelists smiling. If you know 18 to 22-year-olds, everything is the last 2 or 3 months. And we've tried to be very declarative that can't be the model. There are other little things, but I would say the strength of the program outweighs any of our challenges 10 to 1. And I was there, as Peggy said, or as Min said, right after we opened up. I was able to go. I had not been on campus. I think Jason might have a picture of our dedication of our new building there. I was able to go there and do that dedication. Yeah, one down, Jason. Thank you. This is the new building that we cohabitate with our colleagues at Beibu Golf, and as you can see, it's beautifully designed. The building is very, very high tech and very amenable to what we want to do. I noticed that we started out with a quote with our minister, and I'll end this section with a quote. A famous Chinese proverb: "The road to success and happiness is strewn with setbacks." We've had a setback or two, but I think in a typical collaborative way, you get up, you dust yourself off, and you work hard at making sure the next phase goes better than the phase before. My last segment is really quick. We have a very long relationship with our colleagues at Tianjin University of Commerce. It is also a travel program. We have traveled faculty for 20 years to Tianjin University of Commerce. We deliver a Master's of Science in Human Resources and Organizational Development. It's a fabulous design. 93% of the students that are in this graduate program are working HR professionals, most of them in Tianjin or in Beijing. Beijing to Tianjin is a very quick train ride, so we have students that come for the coursework. The courses are designed in a way that faculty can travel, deliver them, and travel back. By the way, our longest serving faculty members have, I think, Delta Diamond status for life. They have so many airline miles going back and forth. But the program, we do have some online components now. We did not prior to the pandemic, but we still do a great deal, a massive amount of the work in person. The program's 2 decades. I did a little mathematics this morning. our faculty have spent 2,000 days in China making this exchange work. And they have 60 students and administrators who have come to us and spent time either doing a second master's degree, doing a certificate, doing some just selective coursework. And we hope to continue to increase that number. And our biggest challenge is exactly as Peggy just described it is, our next phase is getting more of our students willing to go to Tianjin University of Commerce, willing to go to Beibu Gulf. And we are committed and steadfast. We're going to make it happen. We're dedicated to having that real transfer of life experience. And we're going to continue to work for that, certainly throughout my tenure as president. And I'm hoping the next couple that follow me. So thank you all very much for the time. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Prince Smith. And thank you for joining us, even though you had a throat that's definitely giving you trouble. I really admire the dedication of educational leaders like President Smith. We have a very unique advisory committee. People have been working on this for decades. So again, here we are among the company of China Institute in America, over 100 years old. Institute of International Education, over 100 years old. Now beating that, President Smith University is even older than that. But now I want to turn quickly to a very special guest. I'm so glad Mayor Kim Norton of Rochester, Minnesota is able to join us. She was one of our delegates for the Heartland Mayor delegation to China. And I know there was a question about level 3. Yes, we had briefing with State Department level 3 risk, but I think Mayor Norton had a pleasant trip. So Mayor, please weigh in with your perspective on the education changes and the risk and opportunities.
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's been wonderful to listen to all these speakers. Yes, I had an opportunity to go to China the end of October and November. I had a wonderful experience and learned so much while I was there. Still kind of rethinking all the things I learned and how they can be applied in my community and throughout my state. One of the things that was clear the whole time we were traveling is how important international relationships are. Rochester is home to, and I'm the mayor of Rochester, Minnesota. I don't know if that was said, but Rochester is home to Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic serves the world's healthcare. So we have many international patients. We have an international staff. So I see our community is also very international. So these types of relationships are very important. And in a recent visit by some folks from our sister city, we had the opportunity to talk about what are ways that we could connect better. And President Xi and our sister cities both said the same thing through student exchanges, through these educational exchanges. And we invited our chancellor of the University of Minnesota, Rochester. We have a small niche university in Rochester, about 1,000 students, and it focuses only on healthcare because that's what our community cares about. And the question was raised, do your students know about traditional Chinese medicine? Would they be interested? And the chancellor's response was, well, we teach some aspects of traditional Chinese medicine, but no, not all of them. And she stated that she knows some of our students would be interested in learning more. And so I think there is such an opportunity here, just as the president spoke of just a moment ago, to increase and improve the relationships. The University of Minnesota traditionally has had a large Chinese population in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and probably Duluth as well. But Rochester, with its healthcare focus, is also open for these great opportunities for exchange. So I was heartened in my visit that it is possible that we can continue to work for this. And tonight's conversation has really enhanced that thinking for me, and I really look forward to what can happen in the future.
Thank you, Mayor Norton, for joining us and share your perspective as the leader of the city. One thing I'll mention on our visit, each stop we were engaged with a local university. We were visiting with University of Hong Kong. Wuhan University was wonderful. They visited with students. We visited with, actually Johns Hopkins Nanjing Center met with us in Nanjing. And then we were in, Duke Kunshan and Huadong normal university. So every step of the way, we saw how important education institutions are to the local economy, to the local quality of life. So thank you, Mayor, for finding time to join this conversation. Up, we will go to Dr. Alpha Eden. So as I mentioned, Dr. Eden was one of our Heartland Chinese Teacher Award from 2023, which means she dedicated herself to teaching K-12 Chinese. And in addition to her duty at University of Tulsa, and Oklahoma being part of the Heartland states, sometimes is not known for having lots of China-related exchange programs, but you'll be surprised to hear from Dr. Alpha Eden what's happening in Oklahoma. Please, Dr. Eden.
Thank you, President Fan. And good evening, everyone. I'm Alpha Eden, an assistant professor from the University of Tulsa, also a cohort of the Teachers Association of the U.S. Heartland China Association. It is a great honor to have this precious opportunity to be on this esteemed panel. As a Chinese instructor who has been working closely with students and parents, I would like to introduce how a common Chinese educator in the heartland of the United States gets students interested and ready for the U.S.-China exchange programs. First of all, please allow me to introduce some programs at the University of Tulsa. So our Chinese program has a very small student-centered language classes, study abroad experiences. We have a custom design major in Chinese, minor in Chinese. Also, we have our signature programs like international business, international engineering, international science, and language programs where students can learn for 5 years to earn dual majors, degrees in their majors, both in their own discipline and Chinese. And in those programs, students will study and intern for 1 year in China, and they will get 1 semester tuition waiver. And also, for the students who are interested in the scholarship in the Chinese university, they can also take HSK test. At my university, I established the solo HSK testing center in Oklahoma. So welcome the students across the United States to take the test with us. We have an amazing center of global engagement where students can get the programs from CIE, USAC, and also from our partner university, University of China Petroleum. So this summer, a group of students will go to University of China Petroleum in a program called Future Green Energy Leaders. And next summer, our Vice Provost Dr. Wang introduced TU to the YES program. And next summer, an economics professor and I will co-lead a travel course to the University of China Petroleum for 3 weeks. And I can resonate with what President Smith said. I've already asked my students to apply a Chinese visa this year for the next year's trip, so that they will get every document ready when they are ready to go. And I also have taught in public and private schools in Oklahoma, and I also serve as the immediate president of Oklahoma Chinese Language Teachers Association. And I would like to thank organizations like U.S. Heartland China Association. Chinese language programs in Oklahoma gaining increased attention, support, and growth opportunities. And also from the teachers level and students level, we take every opportunity platform to increase the cultural awareness in local communities. We present, perform in Chinese New Year celebration, AAPI Heritage Month celebration, etc. And this year, upon learning about the China Institute's Youth Leadership in China program, I immediately recommended my students to apply for those programs so that my students can get experience in China and develop their leadership, and that will definitely help them with their college application. I believe that these amazing programs will help students to be immersed in the vibrant Chinese cultural heritage, traditions, language, and customs, providing them with an invaluable first-hand experience. And I know that when people come back from China, they tend to send their children and grandchildren to Chinese program. A very young student of me just told me that he had been present in China during the period when his mother was residing in China and was pregnant with him. So also the students who go to these US-China exchange programs will accelerate their language learning. And so many students come back to the US and take the Chinese proficiency test, and their scores are way higher than normal students. And what's more importantly is that these programs and will help students to gain well-rounded development. My students learn how to make a budget for their trips, how to search for travel information, and also how to purchase tickets for the high-speed trains. So when they returning to America, some students help the local business to start international sections in China. Some of the students are serving at positions of global engagement in public and private sections. So as a common Chinese educator, I believe that a lot of teachers like me, we are so glad to see these extraordinary opportunities, and would like to make a contribution to serve as bridge builders and cultural ambassadors between the two nations. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Now you see why she was one of the top Chinese language teacher in the heartland states. So next I'm going to turn to, you're welcome, talk to Dr. Page.
Can you hear me now? Great, thank you so much. And if Jason can put up the slides, that would be great. So hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience with technology. So I've been a science educator and a school leader in the New York City public schools since 2000. And as Mint had mentioned, I am the principal of the Baccalaureate School for Global Education. We are a public IB world school serving students in grades 7 through 12. One thing that makes our school very unique, we offer all enrolled students, including those in special education and students that are English language learners, access to the IB diploma program, which is internationally recognized. As an educator, I think that people-to-people exchange is extremely important. These kinds of experiences teach students to explore differences, but also find commonalities with others. And begin to learn to work with other students and other people to make both local and global communities better for everyone. Next slide. So I was incredibly fortunate to travel to China in October of 2023, this year, this academic year. I traveled in a cohort with other school leaders from New York City Department of Education. There were 6 other New York City employees that I went with, principals, an assistant principal, an educational administrator. And this program was put together by China Institute, East China Normal University, and the China Education Association for International Education. Next slide. Just to share some images and to talk through some of the things that we did while we were over in China. We were in Beijing and Shanghai. We were able to present at various conferences. Of note, which was mentioned already on the panel, was the China Annual Conference and Expo for International Education. We were able to engage in different school visits. Something that was really memorable for myself was visiting Beijing National Day School. They are another IB school, and they will be visiting with me in 2 weeks. We were able to engage in cultural workshops. We were also able to engage in various meetings. We were able to have discussions about exchange opportunities for students and for teachers, to talk about what's going on in education, what's going on in China, and what's going on for us specifically in New York City within the United States. Next slide. One of the big things I took away from my own experiences in China, it was just wonderful to connect with other educators and school leaders, especially on relevant topics. For me to have conversations centered on the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program and also on AI, which has become a very prevalent topic within my school community with students and teachers. And how do we navigate and learn how to use this technology to enhance our learning? One thing that was, of course, notable is that kids are kids everywhere that you go. They're eager to connect with others. And during my time in China, I felt safe, I felt welcome, and I had a really amazing experience. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the impact of these US-China exchanges for K through 12 education. Our students are going to be our future leaders, and they need to learn to be able to work with people all over the world to solve world problems. Learning about other places and people is crucial in how they understand the world around them. And again, finding those commonalities and appreciating the differences, and to learn not to be fearful of others. Considering China's growing economy, significant population, and especially considering talents within the STEM fields, it makes logical sense to encourage our K through 12 students to collaborate with students and educators in China. And I can tell you from my own experiences in my own school, post-pandemic, my students are eager to return to international travel, international experience, and to welcome students into our own community to come and visit. Next slide. Just to give you a little bit more context about my own school community, at the Baccalaureate School for Global Education, we put a strong emphasis on global mindedness and really thinking about what it means to be a global citizen. We spend a lot of time with what's known as the IB Learner Profile. There are 10 attributes of which are directly aligned with learning and living and traveling overseas. Being caring, being open-minded, being a risk taker, those are just some of those attributes that we focus on within our school community. We have a strong culture of international experiences. We welcome others to come visit our school community, and our students are eager to explore others. At our school, we do focus on fluency in additional languages. Our school is located in Queens, which is the most diverse borough in all of New York City. So many of our students come to our school being new to the country themselves. They speak many different languages at home. And at our school, Mandarin is one of the 3 languages that we offer to the IB level. So we have some students that will work towards learning fluency within Mandarin. At the current time, our entire 10th grade is taking Mandarin. And they're very eager to learn more about China, and they're very interested in visiting China. Last year, we had a student who was doing a pre-college program in Westlake outside of Shanghai. I'm happy to say that we will be having another student returning to Westlake this summer. And our school has a strong tradition of students going to international places for college. And we have had in the past students go to NYU Shanghai. I'm hoping in the future they'll apply to Westlake. But we do a good job at our school preparing our students to study anywhere in the world, and a lot of them are very interested in going to China. Next slide. One thing I did want to mention that a lot of my students are applying for is the program with China Institute, the Youth Leadership in China Institute, the One World, Our Future. And just to talk a little bit more about this program, this is organized by China Institute in partnership with China Education Association for International Exchange. This is really focused on that people-to-people exchange that's so crucial for young people and allowing students to connect with peers in China. This program this summer is happening the 15th to the 27th of July. I believe they're leaving New York City on the 14th, and they'll be visiting 3 different areas of China. What really stands out for me within this program is that students will participate in the youth forum, One World, One Future, in which they will ahead of time prepare a presentation on something they're passionate about, might be something they worked on this year in school, might be something they'd like to explore in the future. And they will be able to share that presentation at a forum with students from China. And their Chinese peers will also do presentations as well. The program also includes school visits and a daytime homestay and many other immersive experiences and cultural experiences as well. So I already know that several of my students have applied, and just any sort of programs in which they can visit China and explore China, they're eager to engage in this kind of learning, and it's wonderful to make it available for them. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Page. I have to admit, I'm sure Mayor Norton shared my reaction. So 10 days, 2 cities, that sounds wonderful, because we dragged the mayors to 10 days, 5 cities. And so it was really hectic. We didn't get to squeeze in the Tai Chi practice, which I promised them. So hopefully we'll learn from you guys. So another beauty about this post-pandemic Connect World is I learned about this trip from Shenzhen, who's the Senior Vice President Education at the China Institute in America. So I said, Shenzhen, why can't we get Heartland students to go? Can we get Heartland principals to go? So believe it or not, thanks to we learned about this, we know that 6 students from Heartland, some of them are students of Dr. Eden, have applied. And then I'm sure, Shenzhen, when you organize the next principal trip to China, maybe Mayor Norton can think of someone in the local community who might want to take advantage of that. So thank you so much for sharing that. At this moment, I'm going to actually turn the table a little bit. So you all heard about the 50,000 students in the 5 years. Actually, our chairman, Governor Holt, and I were right there in the room in San Francisco, listening to President Xi Jinping giving that announcement. The room was abuzz. 50,000 5 years. So a lot of things are happening already. Very exciting. So I actually want to turn to Shenzhen. Again, Shenzhen, Ms. Liao is a Senior Vice President Education at the China Institute in America, to share with us what they are doing, including maybe Dr. William Page already promoted already. So please, Ms. Liao, share with us what China Institute is doing to support that 50,000 5-year goal.
Thank you, Min, for giving me this opportunity to speak a few minutes. And I also think, well, as you mentioned, well, Dr. Page and Dr. Edens, well, they both have some connections. Well, they're students, well, and also traveling with me, Dr. Page, last October. This brings the full circle back to what Minister Counselor Shen mentioned at the very beginning, the great opportunities and resources that's available for the educators and the students. The YES program is part of what Dr. Page mentioned, the Youth Leadership in China program that we are organizing. If you see the dates, that's coincide with what Minister Counselor Shen mentioned, the YES program. So our program is indeed part of the YES program. The students were traveling with us this summer. We are eager to join the discussions with the Chinese students there. And in fact, with students from Dr. Page's school, Dr. Eden's students, we are welcoming over 50 students while joining this group. So we are very much looking forward to this summer. And indeed, as Minister Counselor Shen mentioned, I just want to come back. This is the full circle. If we want to go far, we're going to work together. This is how the educator leadership program is followed by a student leadership program, and all of us working together to make it happen. So I just want to quickly use the last minute I have to share the education leadership program that we are like last year, bring a group of principals from New York City Department of Education. And this coming October, from October 26th to November 4th, we are organizing our second China Educational Leadership Program. We are calling for the leaders in the educational field from across the country to join us. For the first year, we have seen the result, the impact. Not only the principals had a wonderful experience in China to really have that connection with people and students in China, but also bring that impact back to their schools, their communities, and most importantly, the students. So we are looking at the outcomes that really to build this people-to-people connections, and also developing an updated understanding. With the pandemic, there's a lot of disconnection and misinformation. The people-to-people connection that we are hoping from this study tour is to have that to be reviewed and to have the dialogues to really, this is coincide with the International Education Conference that we bring the educational leaders to also share the thoughts, their ideas, and have the discussion with the leaders from across the country. And to be able to visit schools, to have that direct connection and understanding of the school life in China, that people-to-people meaningful connections, and most importantly, part of that immerse in people and culture in China. I think everybody joining this program, we have that experience. We not only know that it will transform our lives, we have experienced that, and we want that to be brought to our students, our next generation. So here I am. If you know anyone like Min mentioned, who would like to join us on this effort, please contact us, help us to connect, to make this bridge to be really active and thriving again. Thank you.
Thank you, Xinjiang, for the quick sharing. Again, thank you for sharing the resource program with our Heartland community. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to rapid fire, have some of the panelists to share your quick idea, your out-of-box great idea to accelerate 50,000 students to China. While you are now speaking, check out the Q&A, see if there's a question you want to address. Some of the questions were actually specifically asking one of you guys. So we'll do a really quick round robin. Maybe I'll go to Minister Counselor Shen for her reactions. So Peggy, what great ideas you have or you think will be a key thing to crack to accelerate that, rebalancing the American student going to China? Oh, you're muted.
So I had two thoughts. One of them is more out of the box than the other, but the first one is we have so many Chinese students on U.S. campuses, and I think they can be the bridge, they can be the ambassador if we empower them and give them opportunities to think of themselves as responsible for trying to get more Americans to visit China. They could do an amazing job, because if you know somebody who's already lived in China and you can understand and think that they might be back in China at that point and could welcome you, it would make an enormous difference. That's my not so out of the box thought. The other thought is the big hurdle now, I think, in addition to the wonderful scholarship opportunities that China is offering, the big hurdle is airfare, which has gotten extremely expensive. Back after World War II, when the ships were bringing troops home from Europe, but they were then empty to go back to pick up more troops. I worked with some of the steamships to say, why don't you carry American students to Europe at very, very reduced rate? And it doesn't cost you anything because the ship has to go back anyway. So I want to ask whether American airlines that fly to China, and maybe China Airlines when it flies to the United States, might reserve 5 seats on each flight for American students to go to China and to come back from China. Who knows? It might just work.
Great. Thank you for that quick idea. And then let me go just random my President Smith. What out-of-the-box idea you have?
I don't know if it's out of the box. It follows the line that Peggy just shared. The number one obstacle we hear from students who want to study abroad, particularly in Asia, is the cost of getting there. They understand that they can offset the cost once they are there. It's the tremendous cost. We're blessed here. Eastern Michigan University is 20 minutes from Detroit International Airport. We have direct flights to Shanghai. We have direct flights to Beijing. It's the cost. And my wife works in the foundation. This is something we work on all the time. How do we get donors? How do we get businesses to help offset that cost? And I love Peggy's idea that Delta or American or whatever the airline might be would donate some seats to undergraduate or graduate students. I have a fear that one of the lines our students like to say to me, "When pigs fly," Peggy, is usually what they say. It's probably not going to happen, but I love the idea of making it, bring it up. If we don't bring it up, they'll never consider it.
And it did actually, airline Pan Am and TWA did help American students go to Latin America in the 50s. And we, it can be done.
Great. Well, President, I know you already shared your great idea, but I will have to put you on the spot because there's a question about level 3 risk. So as a president at university, how do you navigate around that? Because we did have to work around that for our mayor delegation.
We're working with our general counsel now. We have some provisions that allow our insurance to cover level 3s. I have a meeting tomorrow morning with a congresswoman that has been very helpful to us in the past. Min, you've heard this is my great idea. I don't know if it'll happen, but could we have, if we feel like level 3 is really about the business community, could we have a different differentiation for education, students that are over doing research, students doing an undergraduate coursework or degree, a master's coursework or degree? And I'm going to float that tomorrow, and we'll see if we get any interest at all. But our general counsel, our insurance provider, we do have some ways that we can make this work. It is not without complication, and it's not without, I think, some consternation on the part of our general counsel staff.
Right. Well, thank you. I guess people didn't realize in the policy field the insurance costs, the process costs. So, but thank you for taking the leadership. Again, an exemption, a waiver for the education sector will be wonderful. So next, I'm going to move to Dr. Eden. Do you have any ideas about how we could accelerate the progress?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the great question. So I do have a personal experience on helping our students to get scholarship from Shandong government. So I would encourage Chinese teachers, educators, and students themselves will look for some information. And there are different levels of scholarship available in China, from the university level, government level, and also from our Chinese embassy. So look for the information and keep them updated. And there are tons of opportunities that will cover, the scholarship covers everything. Yes.
Dr. Eden, what you shared remind me, one of the unsung hero of so many Chinese students come here is actually a service provider in the field that help a lot of Chinese students shop around, get the right school. So it feels like we need a service provider to go the other way to help students provide counseling, right? Here is your profile, here's what we recommend, because it's a lot of options, as you saw from Minister Counselor. So maybe some kind of service provider, consultant, that would be really, really helpful to help people navigate around that. So thank you for that great idea. Again, Mayor Norton, if you want to share idea, feel free to turn your camera. Otherwise, I'm going to turn to Dr. Pei. Oh, Mayor Norton, do you want to share a great idea you have? Get more students from Rochester to China?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a great idea, but I believe that there needs to be assurance of some level of safety. There certainly are political and safety fears, and so we have to move beyond that. But I think an exchange where we can send students there and they can send students back to our school, I think would be ideal. where it's, I don't know, say one for one exchange or 2 for 2 exchange, and then build the relationships that way, I think would be really helpful. But I think we have some barriers yet that we're going to need to navigate through the politics and safety issues.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We definitely had a plenty of briefing before we went to China. So thank you, Mayor, for weighing in. Dr. Pei, do you have any idea you want to share? Or
yeah, as far as like
suggestions?
accelerating program, can you hear me again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just checking. Especially on our end, one thing that we found very helpful was the student that we had that traveled to Westlake last year for a pre-college program. Having that student come back, she was the best advertisement for thinking about going to China. So having students who have gone come back and share their experiences in an assembly, in different classes. She shared with the PTA, things like that. And also mentioning the PTA on a K through 12 aspect, our PTA, because they were invited to come in and look specifically at the program with China Institute, they were able to fundraise and put aside funding. So when my students have applied, if they are accepted, we have funding aside if they need help with their flights. Because especially within the New York City community, we have students with various economic backgrounds, and this makes it more accessible to students, giving them partial support or full support on their flights.
Great, thank you. I will share one quick idea, then we'll turn to Ms. Chancellor for her reaction comments. My idea is give student longer term visa. So because the student may get a short-term visa, but something happens, they can't go. It's just one more hurdle. I was thinking maybe for young student age Americans, just give them a 10-year visa and or 5-year visa. Again, that will just be one less hurdle for them to have explore opportunities, right? So with that, Minister Counselor Shen, if you are available, ready, what do you think about all the ideas? Anything that struck you from this conversation so far?
First of all, I would like to thank everybody for your wonderful ideas and suggestions. I will try. I don't know if I taken down all the questions or the ideas, but I will try. As Peggy mentioned, there are so many Chinese students on campus. They could be very good sources to help even prepare the visits of American students going to China. I think this is a wonderful idea. And these Chinese students, I believe they would love to help the American students to navigate or even find appropriate programs for them, diving into all those program information. And second, in terms of airfare or the expenses of the program, currently, my understanding is in China, there are many universities and organizations or associations are trying to mobilize external resources, trying to cover the logistics of American students when they studied in China. I understand that CAIE and also us, our embassy, are trying to talk with some corporate potential partners to see whether they can provide some extra funding for American students to participate in this initiative, especially under the YES program. We will be happy to share more information if we have in the future. In terms of travel level 3, this is an obstacle we believe in front of more American students to travel and for universities to consider to travel. I think our two governments are trying to work out on that. We wish to see the level 3 will be down to level 1, so there will be no further worries from American universities, American parents and students. I think somebody talked about the scholarship opportunities. There are various kinds of scholarships, yes. And under this YES program, as I introduced, the China Education Association for International Exchange is the organization to liaise and coordinate the program. So if you have some idea or some suggestions or proposals that you want to see your program to be shaped like, and you can email them at yes@cae.edu.cn for Q&A, for questions, for consultation. And you can always, feel free to contact us or the consulate generals in different cities of China. And we have colleagues in all education offices. They know how to help you. So this is another sources that you can rely on. And in terms of, Madame Fan Min mentioned the longer term visa or 10-year visa, I take note of it, and I think I will be happy to discuss with my colleagues in the embassy and to see whether it's possible, or hope we can work out also some good solution on visas as well. I think the high quality educational exchanges between China and US are a positive force for enhancing the friendship and between our two countries. So let's, but we need to work together. So let's do it. And thank you.
Thank you. I know we are supposed to have a Q&A, but we only have 1 minute left. So unfortunately, we may have to just touch on a couple of points. Again, in your remarks, whether it's level 3, again, one of the questions about how do you get more people in the heartland to go, we definitely see, there's a lot more interest. We also have a delegation of students. We're bringing 10, but we have like 20 who want to go. So there's definitely interest, more than you would expect. So again, if anyone want to comment on any other question, issue, this is your last chance before we close the call. And so any last remaining remarks? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, one thing I would say, oh, please, Minister Counselor Shen.
I think I forgot to mention, if you have a delegation ready to travel to China and you are looking at air tickets, you can contact us and we'll help you to connect with Air China or other Chinese airlines. I think they are willing to help you on air tickets issues. So that's the last comment that I want to add. Thank you.
And that's wonderful news. Thank you so much for that initiative.
Yeah, we need to buy 30 tickets, seriously. So thank you so much. And also I want to share that there's still a lot of uncertainty. There's still a lot of challenges, but I like what President Smith said. There's nothing in life that has no challenges. So with this great community, our dedication for the future leader, for next generation, for the peace of the world, for a world with understanding, I think we are all working on something really meaningful. So thank you so much for your time. This program is recorded. So if you miss something, we'll be posting a replay with our partner at China Institute. Thank you so much, and all the speakers, and thank you all the audience members for joining us. Have a good evening.